Hi there you guys, it's me David. This warm weather's got me cooped up, so I'm going to be showing you guys what I'm going to be using for the 2015 to 2016 ice fishing season. Let's take a look at my equipment. So first we're going to take a look at some of my safety equipment. Probably one of the most essential pieces of safety equipment for when you're going to be on the ice is ice sticks. I just have these simple ones. They got a rope, they make some with cord too that stretches. Just go around my neck like that, out of the way if I got them, if I need them. As you can see, these contract, and there's a couple nails right in there so you can pull yourself out of a hole if you get stuck. Next piece of equipment can save your back. Just a couple pair of ice cleats that slip right onto your shoes. Nothing fancy. These ran me about $10, but I've had quite a few times last year where I ended up slipping and hurting myself pretty bad, so these are definitely a must. Next thing is our heater. This is just a cheap Coleman heater I got for my godfather when he passed away. He uses one of those small propane cans. The BTU rating ranges from 3,500 on low to 5,000 on high. Next thing we have are the bibs. Absolutely need these if you're going out ice fishing. These are walls. They work great, insulated on the inside. Tough, had them for a couple years now. Another piece of equipment I think is essential, at least for early ice, would be a spud pole. For those of you that don't know, a spud pole is pretty much a big iron rod. Usually has a rope attached to the top of it where you grip it so that it doesn't go all the way through the ice and you lose it. But it's used for checking the ice thickness as you're walking. It can save your life countless times if you're walking with one, so I definitely recommend it. Alright, now we're going to start talking about tackle. This is my rod bag. It's made by Clam. Very useful, but not necessary. You can easily put your rods in a bucket, but this kind of just keeps it nice and organized, and also has a shoulder strap, so you can strap it on your back and it's out of the way as you're walking out. Just got one compartment on this one. To make other ones, I have multiple compartments for jig boxes, tip-ups, wherever you want. I just have rods in this one, specifically my panfish rods. And also, I always keep a scooper in here. First, we're going to start with my dead sticks. I don't use bobbers on any of my equipment except for my northern equipment, which I'll get to that in a second. Just simple, got a jig on there and a spring bobber. Simple. I got 3-pound test line on here, ice specific line. You want that so that it doesn't catch a bunch of water and start freezing up on you. But then I also add Velcro to the back of my reels. This one you can see better because it's thread. But the Velcro you can stick your hooks on, makes it a lot easier. Next we're going to get to ones with reels. This is my lightest rod right here. Really sensitive tip on it. Just a mini fly reel on there. Nothing really fancy, but it's good rod, served me well the past couple years. This rod is actually new. I just got this rod this year. It's made by Berkeley. The reason I bought it is it has a nice reel on it, and then the tip is nice and sensitive. I don't like using spring bobbers if I don't have to, but I also don't like a rod that's too sensitive for most of my situations I need. Because otherwise, when you start jigging, it's going to bounce your jig all around, and that's no good for a nice, precise presentation. Here's another open bail reel. This one's made by Frable. Got a Sub-Zero reel on it. Bought as a combo. Again, same thing. This one's a little bit lighter than my Berkeley one, but I still like this reel a lot. It used to have a spring bobber on it, but I took it off because most situations I don't need a spring bobber and I can always put one on. Now this is my favorite rod. Has an inline reel on it made by Frable. This one is 24 inches, 1 to 4 pound. I have 2 pound line on these 3 rods. 2 pound line really lets you have a nice, precise presentation with small jigs, and it's really good for finicky bluegills and crappies. I also carry extra spring bobbers in here. These ones are nothing fancy. I also have the actual spring kind too. These are just straight metal ones, but still very useful, pretty cheap. Got these for $2.49 and there's 2 in here. But that's my panfish bag. Now we're going to take a look at my pike fishing equipment. I like to fish for pike mostly during the winter time if I want to fish for them, because they're a lot fatter, they taste better, and they still put up a pretty good fight through the ice. This is probably my favorite method for catching pike. This is what they call an automatic fisherman. Actually, this is what they call an automatic fisherman. Some models come with a rod, but you gotta pay a little more. I got this last year. It was on sale at Gander Mountain for I think 20 bucks. Not that bad, but it's a really effective system. Just take a rod, put it in here, and then this goes up. And the way you do it is you just hook the rod up to the little tip right here. And it'll stay just like that. And you're probably wondering what this is for. This is for slack line. You can adjust this to all the way down here, which is about 2 feet. You can let, and the way it works is that when we close this up, once a fish starts to take line, it'll pull this up. And it'll start pulling in that slack until it sets the hook. And that falls, and that also gives you an alert. We also have a piece of red tape on there that comes with the system, just as a visual. But let me show you the way I like to have my rod set up for this. On here, I have 20-pound braided line, followed by about almost a 2-foot leader. But this leader is made out of 20-pound monofilament. I like to use the monofilament on this because it sets the hook on it for you, and so the pike isn't going to be swallowing it and getting the line by its teeth. And that's very necessary when using braided line, because braided line tends to cut really well, but it doesn't stretch like monofilament does. And the way I keep these straight is I just hook this to the bottom of the reel, and you reel it up, and that'll pull it nice and straight for me, and I'll be ready for the next day. I'll probably end up putting a new leader on it before I go out ice fishing. But in my bucket, I always have an extra spool of 20-pound monofilament to make more leaders. And I have hooks, extra leaders, metal leaders if I need those, heavier tackle. And that's why I like to use, that's my favorite form of catching pike. But I also use just standard tip-ups. Here's a South Bend, really nice tip-up. Definitely recommend it to everybody. And it's nice and wooden. Spring knot's nice and strong. Flag always pops up. For those of you that don't know how a tip-up works, you simply have your line hang below the hole, and once the fish starts taking line, it springs the flag up like that. And here I have a steel leader that's coated with plastic. I found that if your leader is coated with plastic, the pike tend to not notice it more, although that might just be wishful thinking on my part. And then of course, heavy lead sinker there. Bottom there's a treble hook. And then I have 40-pound braid on these tip-ups in case I want to fish for heavier game. This is a really old style tip-up, but it works. If this is all you have, it works well. But I prefer something like a Beaver Dam, or South Bend, I mean, or Automatic Fisherman, or also another nice tip-up are these Fravel Polar tip-ups. These are 12 inches around, which is the maximum size hole you can have in Wisconsin, unless you're spearing, which I don't do that anyways. And then, but it's nice because it has styrofoam underneath, which insulates your hole. On here I have the same setup as my South Bend tip-up, 40-pound braid line. It's really nice and thick and easy to handle. And then I have a steel leader, treble hook. I'll vary the size of my treble hook too, depending on how big of pike I'm looking to catch and the lake. Some lakes are just more finicky than others. Excuse me. And then in here it has a nice little compartment, which I like to keep an extra leader in. And then of course I keep depth finders clipped on many items in my ice fishing arsenal. And then this is just a bucket that has a caddy on it. It's really nice because I can keep my rods on here. This is just a standard rod. It's pretty much set up the same way as my Automatic Fisherman rod, except this one I'm just using as more of a dead stick, and the way I have it set up is I have a slip bobber on there. Underneath that I have an orange jig, depending on what color for the lake. But it's good to have more than one line in the water. You can have up to 3 in Wisconsin, so I think it's good to use all your resources. This bucket also has nice organization, which is very key in ice fishing. Helps you get on the fish quicker. Keep extra batteries for my bubble box for my bait. See if I can wedge this out. Bubble box is a very useful tool when you're using live minnows. This one, it says up to 44 hours. I think my batteries lasted about 40 hours, and I was going out in temperatures in the single digits a lot last year, so definitely worth the money. They're about 12 bucks. Some people have them break, but this one's lasted me over a year now. And then of course I also keep extra line, extra leaders. You always want to be prepared. Alright, let's talk about electronics now. Probably the greatest investment you can make for ice fishing to increase your catch at least twice as much as you used to is go out and get yourself a flasher. Last year I finally broke down and got myself a flasher, and I don't know why I didn't do it any sooner. This is my Humminbird Ice 35. It's their lowest model. It's just simple. It has 3 colors, a zoom option. You can adjust your gain, which is your how large of objects you pick up on it. I'm just going to set it to demo mode here. It's pretty simple. Red is your densest color, when green is your less dense color, yellow's right in between. And this, you can see, alright, now I just got a fish, but as you watch you can see this is representation of your jig. It's all in real time. Here's a fish coming up to it. Now normally it actually turns red when the fish is right on top of your jig, depending on how you have your gain set. But the way you want to use it is by setting your gain as low as it can go with you still being able to see your jig. And then you can also change your cone angle, which is wider cone or smaller cone. Let me do that pretty quick. Alright. You can press the beam button and then adjust this dial here, and that'll make your beam wider or smaller. You can see by that blue line. And then that'll go away once you press the beam again. And if you hold it, you'll have your battery mount. Use this little right here. So my battery's right at about half, showed up as the green line. And gain, can adjust or see the little tiniest objects in the water like bugs and stuff, and then you can adjust it so you only see fish and bottom. Then you also have a zoom function. This will give you 6 feet from the bottom, and you can adjust how much you want. And of course it has 1 times, which is your first mode, 2, which you then switch to this inner yellow line, 4, you switch to this, and then 10. A good battery on this one will last you at least 4 days, I would say. I used this quite a bit last year, and depending on the temperature and how long you're using it per day, if you use it all the way through the night, it's not going to last you long, obviously. What's nice is that you have a float on there to hold your transducer in there, and then you have 6 feet of cable for your transducer. Another piece of electronics I like to use is my underwater camera. It's just a black and white underwater camera. It has infrared though, but you can only really see the reflection of the fish's eyes when you're shooting at night. But it's got a 5-inch monitor, and it comes with a case. You have to get a tripod separate though. They're about 15 bucks. Camera costs $100. They're worth it really, but they're not that good for mobility. but they're pretty easy to use. You just gotta make sure your bait and your camera are at the same level. In fact, this cord has foot markers on it. 1 foot there, 2 foot there. So you'll be able to get a general idea of it. And it runs off a 12-volt battery, so you can run out the same battery as your flasher if you want to. And I can hook up to 2 cameras, 2 of these, to it. And then I can switch in between them just at the press of a button. But it really shows your jig well. It has a fairly decent picture for the price. But I found that it's really helpful if you have somebody that's impatient like a kid, or somebody that's new to ice fishing. So I don't really use this one all that often. But if it's a really cold day anyways and you just want to get out on the ice, it's fun to just throw this down there. Now here you can see all my bobber boxes, plastics, and jigs. Probably one of the most important thing about ice fishing is having a good organized jig box, in my opinion. These fly boxes are perfect for it. You don't have to buy ice fishing specific jig boxes. But as you can see, this has all my jigs nice organized. Got some spoons here, different colors, different sizes, different shapes. They work really well for me. Here I got a couple of bobbers, hooks, a couple of bigger lures. Here I got some soft plastics, different colors, different shapes. Even gonna be trying out some Gulp Alive products. Got a minnow head here, and got chartreuse minnow, and different kinds of bobbers. This is called a rocket bobber. I'm kind of excited to try this out because the way it works is that it kind of sits like that on the water, and then when a fish takes it, it tips up with very little pressure. Maybe the most important thing of your equipment is your auger. A lot of people think they need a power auger, which I do have a power auger, but I prefer this. This is my Strike Master hand auger. It's not adjustable or anything, it's nothing fancy, but if you're good about keeping your blade sharp like me, these are 2-year-old blades and they could shave the hair right off my pretty face. I can cut through 2 feet of ice in 20 seconds. So I don't need a power auger. It's just nice to have it sometimes. My power auger is a Jiffy from the 60s. It's from the 70s. I take that back. It's 40 some years old now, but my dad took good care of it, and now I take good care of it, and it starts on the first pull still. You know, it doesn't burn oil. But this is what my main auger that I use for probably 80% of the season. 5 inches of ice goes in 5 seconds. Alright guys, so that's all my ice fishing equipment that I'm going to be using this year. Can't wait for the ice to hit. I'll probably be bringing you some videos of me ice fishing, some tip-up fishing in the shack, all that stuff. I mostly fish for crappies and bluegills, but I'm going to be switching to northern pike occasionally, so stay tuned. If you haven't checked out some of these fisherman videos, you should. I wouldn't go out and buy them, but if you know somebody, just kind of ask if you can borrow them for a little bit, because these are really fun to watch. They really help you get over the blues of having warm weather. But yeah, can't wait for the ice to hit, you guys, and I'll be bringing you some footage. Line's tight.